Okay, so it was dubbed Mission Impossible before last night's game, and I guess Spurs fans this morning are saying it's very much mission accomplished this morning with a little help from PSV. They got the draw against Inter Milan, but most importantly, Spurs went to the Camp Nou and got a 1-1 draw coming from 1-0 down, and Andy Mitten of United We Stand was there to watch it. Good morning to you, Andy.
Good morning.
Let's start with the Spurs performance, because it's been lauded from a number of corners. I see Guillaume Balaguer on Twitter yesterday saying this is without any doubt one of the best performances of a foreign team in the Camp Nou for many, many years. Struggling to remember a team that was so good in so many ways here. Would you go along with that yourself?
Well, Liverpool beat a full-strength Barcelona in 2007, so if I was a Liverpool fan, I might contest that slightly. Spurs were excellent last night, but they were playing a Barca team who, when I looked at the team sheets, my eyes were drawn immediately, not to the Tottenham team or the Barca team, but the Barcelona bench, which featured Gerard Piqué, Lionel Messi, Arturo Vidal, Sergio Busquets, Andre Ter Stegen. And I tweeted, this is an attempt at the world's greatest six-a-side team. However, there were still great players in the Barcelona team. I think two of the players, Coutinho and Dembele, cost twice as much as the entire Tottenham team. But Tottenham were really good. Barca went ahead through Dembele, and I'm watching him most weeks now. He's fast becoming one of the best players in Spain. There's problems with him. He turns up for training late, but he is prodigiously talented. But what struck me was Spurs, they went for Barcelona. I thought it was a really brave thing to do. And I always remember Sir Alex Ferguson saying, my dream has long been to have a team good enough to go to Barcelona away and to attack them. And he finally had that in 1998-99 when Manchester United drew 3-3 against the Barcelona of Rivaldo and Figo. And that too was an incredible Manchester United performance and great performance by an English team. But Tottenham got stronger as the game went on. I thought that Christian Eriksen did very well. Kane had a very good chance to equalise. I thought Son did very well. There was a huge Tottenham following inside Camp Nou. They sold 5,000 tickets. It's the biggest following for a good few years. But there were Tottenham fans scattered all around the stadium as well, because it was a bit of a dead rubber for Barcelona. They'd already qualified. Tickets were not hard to get hold of. And I think Tottenham deserved that equaliser at the end. There was a huge roar when it went in. And you don't get that because you don't get many away fans normally at Camp Nou. But to play a high-pressing game away at Barcelona, and for Barca to then bring Lionel Messi on because they knew they were getting outplayed, fair play to Tottenham and to Mauricio Pochettino.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you speak about that high-pressing game. You speak about, I guess, this collective identity that Tottenham Hotspur have. And there were some amazing individual performances last night. But it is still the irony of the Spurs team when you see someone like Lionel Messi coming on, who kind of embodies this the new thing that is the cult of the individual in football, where Mauricio Pochettino's teams are very much the opposite of that, where Christian Eriksen and Harry Kane might be putting in fantastic individual displays, but it is still part of the collective, and that is really the thing that is the main identity of this Tottenham team.
Yeah, I saw Pochettino's work closely at Espanyol, and that's what he tried to do. He just didn't have any money. And then when he went to Southampton, that's what he did. It was all about the team. And he had players there like Victor Wanyama, who were very effective without being a huge name. And then it took him to Tottenham, and he did quite well for him there. I know he's not been playing so much, but this is a top Tottenham team. I was researching the previous time Tottenham had played at Barcelona. It was 1982 in the semi-final of the Cup Winners' Cup. A really, really dirty game where Barcelona was strongly criticised for their aggressiveness. But that Tottenham team was going for the quadruple: League, FA Cup, League Cup and Cup Winners' Cup. Tottenham, in the early 80s, to me, as a young man in Manchester, were one of the most entertaining teams. And then they fell right away. They were what Roy Keane said, come on lads, it's only Tottenham. They were a team who never won anything. They were a team who would be beaten against the stronger sides. And now they're the second or third best team in England. They've got that team identity, as you say. They felt that they didn't need to go out and spend in the summer because they've already got a very strong team. I saw them completely outplay Manchester United at Wembley in January. But then I saw Manchester United win at Wembley in the semi-final in April, because this Tottenham team still doesn't win anything. Pochettino is being lauded, his favourite to take over from Jose Mourinho, but they still don't win anything. And I don't think they're going to win the league this year. I don't think they're going to win the Champions League this year. but they're a very, very good team.
What represents success then this season for Tottenham Hotspur? Because as you rightly point out there, that is the big contradiction of this team, that there is a sense that they finally made it or something, despite the fact that, as you say, they're the second or third best team in the country. So that doesn't seem to tally. Is it a failure for Mauricio Pochettino if he, say, leaves at the end of this season with still no silverware as a Tottenham manager?
I don't think so, because look what he's up against. He's up effectively against the sovereign wealth fund of a country with Manchester City. He's up against the money of a Russian oligarch with Chelsea. He's up against Manchester United, who are a far bigger, wealthier club, a club who've traditionally been able to take Tottenham's best players, Berbatov, Michael Carrick. So just to be in the top four without patronising should be seen as a success for Tottenham. And the Tottenham fans I spoke to yesterday and last night in Barcelona, they seem very happy with the lot. They're moving to a superb new stadium. It looks to be the best stadium in English club football, and as one or two of them pointed out, it will have 1,000 more seats than Arsenal's new ground, which it seemed quite juvenile, but it was very amusing to me to hear that. And I think, given the way that their club is structured, it's a very successful model. Of course, Tottenham fans would love to see their team win the league, but they don't have, or at least until now, have not had the money to go out and spend 60, 70, 80 million pounds on a player. And with the new stadium to pay for, that doesn't look like it's set to change. I think just Tottenham being where they are represents success. Of course, you'd like more spine if you're a Tottenham fan. You'd like them to win an FA Cup. You'd like them to win a League Cup. It is, as Tottenham fans sing, glory, glory, Tottenham Hotspur, and the glory comes from winning cups. But it did seem pretty glorious last night in Camp Nou for a Tottenham fan.
Yeah, it certainly did. What's your gut feeling on, say, 12 months' time where Mauricio Pochettino may be? Will he still be Spurs manager?
I think he would accept a bigger job at Manchester United. United are a bigger club. It's a bigger challenge. Tottenham are a better team than Manchester United at the moment, but he would have a lot more resources there. And he is a climber. He left Southampton where he was doing very well. He knew they were a bigger club, so if you apply the same principle, then he would do that for Manchester United. And I'd say at this moment, he is a favourite to take over Jose Mourinho, and I think he'd take it. I don't think he'd take it mid-season. I don't think United would go for him mid-season, but I think he would take it at the end of the season. And I think it would appeal to the ego and the challenge of any football manager. Can you make Manchester United great again? That must be, A, extremely hard to do, because Jose Mourinho, David Moyes and Louis van Gaal have struggled to do that. But B, what an attractive job if you look at it another way.
Well, let's talk about Manchester United. Let's talk about the current manager, because there are some astonishing things after coming out in the last 24 hours. Eladio Parama is an advisor to Jose Mourinho. He's been writing for Record, the Portuguese newspaper, and he's said some incredible things, like the idea of Paul Pogba and his signing. Like you've written quite extensively about the idea of Paul Pogba being a commercial product as well as a football product for Manchester United. And Parama is saying that Jose was strong-armed into signing Pogba. But what I found surprising was that the transfer value was clawed back in just 6 months at Manchester United. So if you say that what Ed Woodward is doing and that it's all nonsense, well, on a financial level, it's clearly made sense. It paid off for him in just half a year.
That is all true. And it wasn't a Mourinho signing. And as well as being strong-armed into signing him, he feels strong-armed into playing him as well. I think Paul Pogba is a very, very good, hugely talented footballer. I think he's a really nice lad. He's been massively successful, but it's just not working as well as people would hope at Manchester United. And we're seeing that more and more this season. Do you blame the manager for that? Do you blame the player? Do you blame the confidence of the player being down because of the manager? I think these are all legitimate questions and areas to look into. It is a crying shame, because in Mourinho, United have had one of the football's most successful managers, and Manchester United hoped that they would rebuild their team and club around Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba wanted to go to Real Madrid. That's after Barcelona dropped out, so this is 2016. And United sat down with him and said, if you go to Real Madrid, you will be one of 4 or 5 stars. If you come to Manchester United, you will be the star. Look at your social media interactions when you're linked with Manchester United compared to Madrid. It's miles, miles bigger. And look at how big a star we can make you in the online world. And they got the player because of that. Obviously, there were other attractions. Pogba knew Manchester. The wage packet wasn't bad. It was a little bit more than a living wage. And they got the player. So this is all part of United's strategy in recruiting players. And they feel that they have to, because maybe Manchester as a city to live in is not as attractive as London or Madrid. Maybe playing for Jose Mourinho isn't as attractive to all players as playing for, say, Pep Guardiola. So United feel that they have to accentuate their positives. They broke the world transfer record to sign Paul Pogba. And he's had some good moments. He's had some great moments. Performance against City away last season when United came from 2-0 down to win 3-2. But the consistency is just not there. I just can't see a happy ending with the two of them at Manchester United. I hope that I'm wrong, but we're now into our third year and these issues are still the main issues at Manchester United. And Jose's got his perspective and Paul Pogba's got his perspective. That doesn't breed unity when they're breathing against each other.
Yeah, Paramas has actually suggested that Jose Mourinho is going to start Paul Pogba tonight to put him back into the shop window. He's a little bit guilty, I think, because he obviously hasn't played him for the last couple of games, but he wants to put him back into the public sphere, into the shop window, as I say, so that he can sell him in January. Do you buy that? That's what Paramas is saying in the Portuguese newspaper.
Well, by starting him in Spain is a step up from the last time Manchester United played in Spain, because he didn't start in Sevilla, and that was in February, and that was when the problems became really apparent. That there was an issue between the manager and the player. If Paul Pogba scores 3 goals against Valencia tonight, then modern football will be wowed by that. But when teams scout players, they don't just scout them for one match. I don't think any club in the world will be looking to shatter any transfer records and sign Paul Pogba at the moment. I know that Barcelona cannot afford him. I know that Pogba loved the idea of playing for Barcelona earlier this year, but as someone said to me at a very senior level at Barcelona, the numbers do not stack up. The transfer fee would be vast, the wages too. And given how Pogba has done at Manchester United, his stock has fallen. His stock has not gone up. However, I watched him in Russia for France in the World Cup, and he had a very good tournament. I still think there's an exceptionally good player there. It just seems to me that he's probably at the wrong club at the wrong time. Unfortunately for him, maybe it would have been different under Sir Alex Ferguson. And I can actually sympathise with Pogba for the way that he left the club, because he felt that he deserved a chance and he wasn't getting one. And he was vindicated in doing that when he went to Turin. But unfortunately for United fans, it's just an uneasy fit with him at the moment in Manchester.
Yeah, well, it is Valencia against Manchester United tonight. Chances are it's a complete dead rubber unless young boys do Manchester United a pretty big favour in terms of getting that number 1 seed from that group. Just one final question, Andy, before we let you go. 4 English clubs now through to the last 16. Who's got the best chance out of the 4 of them of winning the Champions League?
Manchester City, and it thrills me to say that. I'm sure you'd appreciate not being a City fan, but no, they've got the best team in England at the moment. They've got a manager who's very experienced in Europe, and City have underachieved in Europe in recent years. They've not come close to winning the European Cup. I think they got 1 semi-final performance against Real Madrid. Second, I would say Liverpool. Thought they were excellent in Europe last year, both at home and away. And this Tottenham team, the problem with Tottenham is they don't win trophies. So that leaves one more, doesn't it? I'm about to head down to Valencia now to watch the mighty Manchester United. Do I think they'll be winning the European Cup, Champions League this year? No, I don't. However, I wouldn't be completely stunned, because this is Mourinho and he's got a habit of doing stuff like this. But maybe that's my heart ruling my head.
Well, I'm sure Manchester United fans won't disagree with you on that one. Andy Mitten of United We Stand, thanks a million for your time. I appreciate it.
Take care. Bye-bye.